Okay, UFC 308, we are finally here. Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria, that is the main event, but we'll get to that here in just a moment. So, starting off, we're going to run this down for you. First fight, Rainet Fakhretdinov. His last fight against Nicholas Dalby, shout out the Danish, he actually got a war. Like, that was actually the first time that we probably saw him get into like a firefight. And I think Dalby, in my opinion, maybe did enough. Fakhretdinov kind of showed that he was able to withstand some damage and some pressure. This dude that he's facing is coming in, not even been in the promotion before, and I think he'll probably get it done, but the other guy's coming off some knockouts. And Fakhretdinov did get wobbly against Nicholas Dalby, so that is something to note, that this guy Carlos might come in here, and he might, make it interesting. But I think Fakhretdinov, he might sub him just because he wants to get it done really quick, I would hope. For the second fight of the night, we got Ishmael, and I don't know too much about him, but I do know Bruno Silva is coming off of two nasty eye, injuries. Both of his eyes were like ruptured. He might be half blind in this. I think Ishmael, coming in with the biblical name, will come out here and get this one done. I don't know if he's a wrestler, but with that name, you better come out here and do something good. Make me at the end be like some, But either way, not a big fan of this one. This is just an early prelim that I could care less about. Bruno Silva is interesting to watch, and I think he did do great against Alex. People don't want to note that early in Alex's career. And Bruno Silva is, I guess, slowly on the decline because, Chris Weidman was an easy target, and he didn't throw a single leg kick, I feel. So it's interesting, but I think Ishmael's going to go ahead and get this. Fareed Basharat, one of the Basharat twins, brothers. I don't know if they're twins. They do kind of look alike in my opinion, but they're from Afghanistan, so shout out to them. That is, another country that doesn't get represented well, and we want to go ahead and get a dub for them. But Victor Hugo is a tough opponent. I've actually liked this dude ever since he came up. I think he might be on the watch list back when I used to update it, so he's been here for a minute on my radar. This is a big dog. Fareed Basharat, I'm pretty sure his brother just got a decision and lost, and, lost his undefeated streak. Maybe unfortunate to a lot of bettors, but he was a big favorite at the time too, and I think this is another big favorite that you can't buy into, because I don't think Fareed will finish, because Victor Hugo is just kind of that guy. He's one of these guys that is slowly on the come up and slips under the radar. 25-4, listen, he's got experience. And he's going to show you guys. With a name like that, you got to be cold. Last being said, I think Fareed Basharat should get this finished if he doesn't want to go to decision and face the same consequence that his brother did. Victor Hugo is a formidable opponent. This should be very, very fun. Shout out to this one. This might be potential, I wouldn't say fight of the night, but potential dog upset. We got Kennedy from Nigeria, and we got Chris Barnett, of course, the Dragon Warrior, from Spain. And this fight, I was more excited for Chris Barnett in the last matchup. I don't know too much about Kennedy in this one, so I think Chris, it's a clean slate for both of them. I want to see what happens. If Chris Barnett could come out here and surprise me like everybody's hoping, then that would be great. But he is coming in at a dog still. Like, nobody really has faith in him. And when the back's against the wall, maybe that's when he does his best work. But I want to go ahead and say I'm going to take Chris Barnett. Win or loss. It's a close dog. You can't go wrong with close favorites because they really don't know. It's kind of coin flip territory. Until you get to that minus 200, minus 300 area, even minus 300 plus is kind of pushing I shouldn't trust area. Shout out to Boos representing Germany, okay? This guy here gets a lot of hate just because Sean Strickland worked him over. But this dude's a champion. This dude is a former champion, maybe soon to be champion again. They're rebooking the Drekus fight. So, whenever Abus gets in this cage and he's able to prove himself, I think it's going to be good. I think he showed a lot of improvement in his gas tank, of course. He was able to actually make it to later rounds in the fight. His grappling's pretty superior. If you watch him, he's able to, roll and get into these grappling exchanges where he can come out on top. He finds a way. And Bruno is just a dude who really just comes out here and knocks people out. And even in his last fight where he got that spinning elbow knockout, he was throwing 3 or 4 of those before that, and he had nothing left in the tank, in my opinion. Like, he really just kind of got a second win knockout because the dude that he's fighting was kind of a slouch. But that's just how I remember it right now. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Abus will come out here and show superior wrestling through 3 rounds, maybe even get a sub. Shout out Abus. I've been rooting for you for a while now. Maybe evidence will show different, but I'm going to go ahead and say right now in this moment, I believe that I've been rooting for you for a long time. So let's go out here and get this dub. And yeah, make it fun, man. Just make it a fun matchup because people will like you as long as it's fun. Just remember that. Talking about making an experience for the fans, making memorable, engaging moments in the fight. Miktabek Orabai, he's going to come out here, and of course, he's going to wrestle. He's going to grapple. But the thing that's so different about him and why he's so interesting is because he doesn't stop. When you have wrestlers and you get them in the first round, and then the second round, they're just on the feet, and they're just hands are down, and they can't punch anymore because they're not going to wrestle because they don't have the gas tank. That's not what Miktabek is. That second round comes, he's going right back to the double leg. He's going to lay on you. He's going to smother you, and he's going to go for a finish. Third round comes, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to shoot, he's going to lay on you, and he's going to go for a choke. He's going to try to hurt you in the long run. Miktabek is an animal, and shout out him. I don't even know how he's lost. I'm not going to lie. One loss, I know. So just shout out Miktabek because Rebecki's not going to be that great, and I think Miktabek is given a win right in front of the territory that's going to love to see him do it. Next, we got Jeff Neal and RDA. I think RDA's been being counted out a lot in this one. He is a big dog, but I'm going to go ahead and say Vegas knows what they're talking about. RDA's old. He is very impressive for the age, and he is still in great shape, and he is always, ready to go. But Jeff Neal might be at the point in his career where he might be able to just keep the fight to what he wants. And he's a big dude. Like, he's one of these dudes that are huge for the weight class. So I think RDA might have a tough time. Like, he's moving up weight classes, and this is Jeff Neal at like a very fit form of the weight class. It's going to be interesting. Jeff Neal might win the striking. RDA, you're going to have to do some great wrestling. You'll have to make the match a wrestling match. You'll have to get the fight to the ground or in the clinch and, eat them up with knees and elbows. Make it dirty. I think you're going to have to adopt a new style going into the weight class that, you're aspiring to, because you will not have the same skill set that applies. I don't think it's going to apply efficiently when you're moving to a different weight class. You have to adapt in some areas. That's just my opinion. Don't change the game plan, of course. Don't be a striker now, but figure out new ways to inflict the damage upon your opponents and get the points on the board rather than what you've done that worked against opponents similar to your size at that time. Maybe that's all I can say. But shout out to them both. I actually think this is a good matchup, even though maybe I didn't understand it at first. Jeff Neal, RDA. But I think as of right now, going into this weekend, I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited to see what happens. Maybe I'm wrong. If RDA upsets, that's kind of like, career resurgence area, but he's also 39 years old. So what does that even mean? Oh, Ibo. Okay, shout out Ibo from Turkey. He actually is going to gas in the second round. That's what he does. He's going to throw everything in the first round, throw some big-ass haymakers, throw some heavy hooks, and if he doesn't knock him in the first round, he's going to try in the second round, but he's going to be tired as shit. So if he doesn't get him out in the first round, I'm going to go ahead and say that he's going to lose in decision. But this is also light heavyweight, so maybe they will get each other out of there. Hopefully it's not a wrestling match, because I don't think Ibo is going to have much in the department after he gasses himself out. He's one of these dudes that will punch himself out. Moving in to the main event, Shara the Bullet. We got him against another bum. It's actually not too big of a bum if you look at the numbers. Vegas doesn't think that it's a heavy favorite for Shara. So maybe he won't finish, but Shara should go out here and put on a masterclass striking. And if he gets grappled, he will showcase some skills off his back, and probably the judging will give that to him. He's got a lot of good elbows, and he's very active in his guard. But will it be enough in the judging? I want to go ahead and say yes. Look at the home territory, yada, yada, yada. So, moving into the next fight, Lerone Murphy, Dan Ige. This one, I don't know what to expect from this. Probably Lerone Murphy's going to coast all the way to a decision and get Dan Ige in a position where he's not able to inflict his game plan, keep him on the outside, do a lot of running, if some will say. But, he might be able to dance around the octagon. He might be able to keep it at range. Dan Ige might be able to get in a few times and get it to the ground. But I think Lerone, unless he comes out and surprises, maybe he'll come out and get engaged with the wrestling and actually get into a position where he can sub Dan Ige. Dan Ige's never been finished, obviously, but Lerone Murphy, you got to come out with new ideas. You can't expect to go to decision and win every time. And I don't think you're going to finish Dan Ige on the feet. So that's just my opinion. Next, Ankalaev, Alexander Rakic. I think this right here, also great fight. I don't know why these dudes are talking about this like this is the hardest matchup of either one of them's career. I guess obviously to the point that they have to get through each other to get to some title implications again, for sure. But Ankalaev's a big favorite. Rakic is very impressive. Shout out Serbia. I didn't even give a shout out. Alexander Rakic, he is very impressive. His stand-up is elite. I thought he was doing very good against Yuri. I was worried for Yuri. But then Yuri obviously pulled out, he pulled vengeance out or something. And this was a great performance for Alex to get humbled because it was not so detrimental that he fell too far out the rankings. Because look, now he's up against somebody who was going to get a title shot. If he beats Ankalaev, which nobody thinks he's gonna, I don't believe that he's even thinking that Rakic can beat him. This is a great upset to put some money on, even though Ankalaev is good. Stand up, he's a good striker. But Rakic has some really good fucking leg kicks. And, Ankalaev can't handle leg kicks. After about 2, it only takes about 1 or 2 well-placed leg kicks for Rakic for the fight to just instantly go from minus 380 to Ankalaev to maybe coin flip area. Because he's just going to have to wrestle at that point. And if he starts shooting where he can't reach Rakic, we're going to get him on his hands and knees crawling. I don't want to see that, but maybe we're going to get some, come on, stand up. That's what he was doing to Jan. The fact that they got a draw and, Ankalaev's legs were toast since round 2, it was pretty impressive. I will say that. Continuing a 5-round fight when both of your legs are destroyed and you still getting a draw at least, impressive. But I think Rakic might have a good opportunity to land some great leg kicks right up front. Even if Ankalaev checks him, that might even hurt him even more, depending on how he does it. If he turns his shin into him, he might fuck himself for the rest of the fight, But we will see. I'm interested in this one. Lot to say, lot to think about. But going into the next one, we have a lot more to say. I don't know if I'll say it here because there's really so much up in the air. Will Khamzat actually make it to the fucking fight? We don't know yet. We're still a couple of days out. He's looking good. He's actually looking a lot slimmer. I don't know what that's about. But I think Robert Whittaker has a good chance to upset everybody in the world if he comes out here and figures a way out how to beat Khamzat. Khamzat's got a crazy pace. This is a 5-round fight, and Khamzat is going to be, he's going to be a dog, man. He's going to be a dog. Boers is going to come out here and try to finish Robert Whittaker. Shout out Robert Whittaker for being a man. I know that's not the position that he's in. I'm not questioning it. I'm just letting you know, off rip, he wanted this fight again. He said, you couldn't make it the first time. I'll go take another fight, and I'm ready to go. Give me Khamzat. I just wanted to let you know that this dude's nuts, right? If I had this big of a room and he was here, where would I be? So it's crazy to me that Robert Whittaker is just that big of a fucking animal. Shout out the Reaper. I don't know who to pick in this one. I want to go ahead and say, sorry, but Robert Whittaker is going to go ahead and get this one done. I got to go with it. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know, but he will. Shout out Robert Whittaker. I got to go with that. And with that being said, going into the main event, Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria. This one is all on the line. The chips are all on the table right here. You don't get the chips without the dip right here. Max Holloway, I'm not worried. I think he's actually going to get this win. I just don't know when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen. I think it's going to go to decision, or it's going to be a late TKO finish, and he's going to beat Ilia Topuria down. It's going to be the first time Ilia gets humbled. It's going to be the first time that he gets into a war, and it's going to be the first time that he's not going to be able to engage in the inside boxing that he wants that's going to finish the fight. Max is going to be able to take his biggest shot. When we get to round 2, Max is going to understand there's nothing left for him to do. The slick boxing ain't going to do it because I'm just going to pop you up on the outside of the fight. If Ilia introduces wrestling, which I doubt it because I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid. If he introduces wrestling, maybe he can win, but I think he'll just gas himself out even quicker. I think Ilia is going to punch himself out. Max Holloway's going to go ahead and take this fight in the later rounds. Maybe round 1 goes to Ilia. Maybe half of round 2 goes to Ilia. Maybe even round 2. But I think round 3, 4, and 5, we're going to see Max turn it up. Striking numbers are going to be insane. Probably one of the largest, strikes landed tallies in Max's career. For the longest time, Max was going to decision with all these great boxers. Max pillow hands, whatever you want to say, for the longest time, then randomly starts knocking people out. You get, the Korean Zombie and Gaethje. So maybe he could finish Ilia. I don't think he's going to knock him out clean. That's possible. But I think a late finish of him beating him down into a pulp. Maybe not even, 4 or 5. It could come in 3. Like Alex and Khalil, we just saw. I think it might look similar to that. Max finally figures out what the key is to win, turns it up, and utilizes everything in his capabilities to go ahead and get this belt back. This is a big moment for Max Holloway. If he gets the belt back, what are the featherweight GOAT conversations? I know he never beat Alex, but whatever you want to say. I think it's very impressive. Max Holloway, you will go out here and get this dub. Please come out here and prove the world wrong. Show Vegas they don't know what they're talking about. Robert Whittaker, you do the same thing, and I need my Islanders to go out here and win these fights. Show them what the fighting spirit is about.